Hello and welcome to Levels Plus Whenever episode 125. And we're going to be diving right in with a whole bunch of King of Fighters characters rankings. But first, a quick pickup. I got Astrobot. I watched Keita Nash play it and was immediately charmed, and thus bravo. I've got the game, Sony. That's great that we actually have a game produced by Sony that I'm interested in. That doesn't have Horizon in the title. It looks like an extremely fun platformer, and I'm looking forward to potentially diving into that before I get into Dead Space, because I still feel like after Silent Hill 2, I need this type of game before I dive back into the survival horror well. Let's get into the ranking. We are back with another ranking of characters, and this time it is the mainline King of Fighters series. And it follows a similar structure as the earlier Street Fighter one, where there is a tier at the top that is the characters that I think represent King of Fighters. There's a lot more in King of Fighters, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful with character selection up there, but there's going to probably be a higher rate than there was for Street Fighter, because picking two from each KOF game isn't really fair. It doesn't work the same way as Street Fighter does. This list includes everyone from the numbered games, so that's King of Fighters 94 through 2003, then continuing with 11 through 15. That will include guests from Samurai Showdown, because King of Fighters is ultimately a giant medley of SNK. There's Fatal Fury, there's Art of Fighting, there's Psycho Soldier, there's Akari Warriors, there's Samurai Showdown, and much more inside of King of Fighters, so I can't really disqualify anyone as long as they're an SNK character. Unfortunately, I put in a bunch of work before I started recording, sorting these by KOF title, added in 4 characters that they missed, which are the Sam Show characters and Duck King, and then when I hit presentation mode, it reset it entirely. I am not going to sort through that again, because that probably took about a half an hour to do, and I don't want to do it again. So we'll do what we did with the Street Fighter video, and we're going to pick the characters that I feel represent King of Fighters the best. And then we're going to start throwing the characters into the rest of the tiers. But to give you an example of where I think people place, we'll do what we did before. So the fun part about this is not alphabetical. So it's kind of alphabetical in like 2 or 3 different ways. You gotta put Kyo in King of Fighters, because Kyo is the protagonist of this series. I feel that he deserves to be up there as a premier character of the series. And when you think of King of Fighters, you think of Kyo. For our second rank, which is part of Rugal's collection, these are my favorite characters that aren't in that top tier. And Oswald is a great example of that. Oswald is not a King of Fighters caliber character, but he's one of my favorite characters, so he can go right there. For our next tier, which is Knucklefest 95, I'm going to put like Elizabeth. I think Elizabeth is a good choice here. She's not one of my favorites, but I like her, and I think that she's totally fine. For our C tier, or Are You Okay? I'm going to put... Boy, that's a great question. I forget her name. Remind me what your name is. Lung. I'm going to put Lung there. I think that she is a perfectly fine character, but is not one that I personally have a very strong affection with. And last but not least, the bottom rung. And let's just grab the pervert and throw him up there. Because he deserves to be there. And the bottom tier, Iori's Evil Laugh. Okay. There will be a few no comments that I'm going to throw in here because there's going to be a few characters in the games I haven't played that I have no opinion on. And as I did with the Street Fighter group, I have put an exempt row with Orochi versions of characters or clones or Omegas or Evils because they're effectively the same character. The exception to this is the K9999 Cronin Nameless debacle that happened. Those three characters are technically all different, although Cronin is K9999, but still not officially. He has a different name. So he's staying down here along with Nameless, who is a new character to replace K9999. This also includes the hidden characters in King of Fighters 11, who I have played most of, so I'm not completely in the dark. Alright, so this is what I want to do. For our King of Fighters, I think that we'll do... Street Fighter had about like 14, 15? Let's do 20, because there's more characters to pick from. The 20 characters that I truly feel represent King of Fighters. Let's go ahead and grab Iori wherever in the world he is in this messed up list. That's why I organized it, but it just went away. It makes me upset. There he is. Iori is King of Fighters. There is no question of that. In my mind, Terry is King of Fighters. He may be a Fatal Fury character first, but he's been in practically every single one. And we can just throw Ryo up there as well because he's kind of in the same boat. Those are the two really defining guest characters, along with Athena. She is King of Fighters. Rugal is King of Fighters. One of my favorite bosses in all of video games. Absolutely wonderful character. Think he's fantastic. I'm going to grab the other heroes. Since Ash was conveniently findable, Ash, King of Fighters, has to be there. K-Dash has to be there. Since she's conveniently next to K-Dash, Kula has to be there. She is an important KOF character. This guy, Shunei. As much as he's not one of my favorite characters, he is the hero of King of Fighters. And should be up there. So that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 other characters that represent King of Fighters at this stage. Let's see here. Shizuru, I think, should be up in this tier as well. She's a very important KOF character. Mai, for sure, needs to be up here. She's much like with Terry. She's been in practically all of them. Leona. If I didn't put Leona up here, I would be disappointed in myself because she's my favorite fighting game character. In this series, at the very least. Let's see. The problem with a lot of the newer characters is that they're not as memorable, but I do want to put the rival to Shunei, Isla. I think she's the strongest design of the recent KOF games, and I think she deserves to be up here. If she wasn't up here, she'd be in A tier. So, you're gonna have to just put up with that. Who else is in almost all the KOF games? Ralph and Clark. I think we need to put both of them up there as well. They're both pretty attached to this series as a whole. Where are they? Oh, this is so much fun having to sort through a list that's completely unorganized. There's Ralph. We got Ralph. Clark is organized differently than not Pateron. Clark. There we go. So where are we at? That was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Kim is pretty synonymous with the KOF, almost as much as Fatal Fury at this point. I would also argue that King is pretty strongly attached to King of Fighters, even more so than Art of Fighting. Same thing with Yuri. That team is pretty iconic. Robert, however, has been in and out too often. My last pick, I think I want to say that define King of Fighters out of who is remaining down in this list. When I think of King of Fighters, who do I think of the most out of who is left? It's a tough call, honestly, between Shermie and Vanessa. But I think Shermie I'm going to give the edge. Because I think Shermie just screams King of Fighters antagonist and is probably one of the more popular characters who had to sit out because she was dead. That's the problem. You died, but you got resurrected after 14, so that's why she's back, like instantly. Very quick decision. So I think these are the 20 characters that really define King of Fighters. I wouldn't personally rank all of these characters as favorites. Ralph and Clark would not be up here, probably be in C tier at best for me. But I think these are the characters people think of when they think of this game. So, moving forward, this is just a mess. In comparison to the ease that I had with Street Fighter having it by game, this is going to be me grabbing people and putting them in a slot as I deem fit. So let's just get started with some of the characters that I don't really know, and we can just put them in no comment and get them out of here. A lot of the KOF 14 characters I don't know much about. So this guy, whose name I forget, Gong Li, who is with Kim's team, if I remember correctly. The Zero Madness, this guy. A lot of the bosses in the later KOF games I don't have any attachment or knowledge of. This guy. I could at least say something about Saki. This guy. I really don't have any opinions on them. And then I never had Selfer in my King of Fighters 11, so I have no opinion on that character. I think that's Selfer. Silver, my bad. There might be a couple more KOF 14 characters I throw in here, but I'm going to be going off of design aesthetics probably more than anything else with the other characters. Let's just kind of start grabbing characters that I really like. So we're going to grab Vice. I really like Vice in CVS, and the little bit I played of her in actual KOF games. I think she's a really great design with a great moveset. Like her a lot. Vanessa. Really awesome take on the boxer style character that I really like her design, especially when she debuted. Her shoes in the current games don't make a whole lot of sense to me, I'll be honest. But otherwise, I think she's great. Whip. for sure, is one of my absolute favorite KOF characters. I adore her. She's usually on my teams when I play. I think she's phenomenal. Yamazaki, totally an A-level character. Just one of the great examples of just bully antagonist taken to the level that needs to be taken. Just absolutely love Yamazaki and his over-the-topness. Rock. I love Rock Howard. He's one of my favorite SNK characters. And Garo Mark of the Wolves and his King of Fighters appearances have been fantastic. So, of course, he's going to be up there. Blue Mary as well. I love Blue Mary very, very much. She's usually on my teams. I would love to get better using her in games, but I think she's a fantastic character. Let's see, who else do I have strong feelings about down here in these characters? I'm going to go ahead and take Shion and put him up in the best, my A rank. I really like Shion. I think he's a really good mini-boss who should have probably been the boss. One of the best animated characters in a KOF game. I'm going to put Geese up here as well, because Geese has made a very strong resurgence, and Geese is just one of my favorite antagonists, period, in fighting games. So I think he deserves to be in the A rank as well. I really like Mei Li. I have no reason to like Mei Li, but her design aesthetic is so good. I don't care for her moveset a whole lot, but visually as a character design, I love Mei Li. And I would love for her to come back. Let's grab one other character to go into my top list. And I'm going to probably just go with B. Jenny, because I like B. Jenny and Garo. I like her in the King of Fighters games that she's been in. She's fun. She's quirky. She's a pirate. I like that. So, I think that she's great. Let's knock out some of the characters I don't like at all and just get them off the list. So, Bao is annoying in the King of Fighters games. I just despise the kid. I'm sorry. I'm not a huge fan of Antonov. He got better in 15, but I'm just going to be honest and say I don't really care for him that much. Same deal with Maxima. Maxima is another character that I just find kind of bland, and King of Fighters designs are usually so excellent that it's hard for me to be enthusiastic about a character that is in like a mech suit but is kind of just dull. I don't like Chang. I never have. Choi is going to probably get a little bit higher, but I'm not the biggest fan of Choi either. This guy... this is Xanadu. What were you thinking? Magaki. Loathe that guy. Bottom tier boss. One of the worst bosses I've ever played against in a video game. Let's see, we got a few more slots. Is there any other characters I feel that strongly about disliking? I'm not the biggest fan of Chin. I find him annoying to fight against. I find Rio's dad boring, so he can go down there. Who is this? This is Saki, that's right. I don't really think Saki's that interesting either as an antagonist. so they're gonna just hang out in that bottom tier as well. And Goro, unfortunately, I think he's also boring. KOF designs are so fantastic that the ones that don't grab me are really dull. So I think that's a good establishing bottom tier. Let's start thinking about some characters that I'm kind of mid on. Sylvie, great example of a mid character. I think Sylvie has a really good design in 15. 14, it's obnoxious. 15, much more tolerable. And she's got some wild loops and stuff that you can do with her that I think is really fascinating. But she was over the top designed in 14 to the point of being terrible. So thankfully 15 bumped her out of the bottom tier, but I still am not the hugest fan. Ramon is another character that I just kind of find kind of dull aesthetically, but the moveset is pretty solid. So I can't hate him. Kyo's dad, sure, he's fine. He looks a little different. I don't have a really strong argument either way. Choi, I'm also going to put here, Freddy Krueger style character, totally fine. Not my favorite. Hydern's kind of there too. I think he's got some cool moves, but then I think Leona's better. So I think that's a good spot. Gonitz is annoying to fight against, but does have a pretty solid design, so he can be in the C tier. Nameless, I'm going to just plop there. I don't think he's really that memorable, nor is his original basis, K999. I will put Cronin in B tier, though, Knucklefest, because I think Cronin is actually a really good design, building off of these two concepts and finding a cohesive whole that works really well. A couple more characters that they're fine. Chrysalid, he's fine. Not very memorable. Lynn's got the red gloves that makes me put him down here. I was like almost about to put him here, but then I remembered he's got these weird red hands, gloves things going on, and I don't really care for it. So he can hang out in the bottom. Of the KOF 14 designs, which there are many, and most of them I don't like, I do like Banderas. And I'm a little bummed he didn't make it back into 15, because I think visually he's one of the stronger designs that they came up with. I'm not the biggest fan of Andy, but I don't hate him, so he can hang out in the C tier. So let's get some more Bs, so we can kind of continue to thin this out a little bit. I think Robert is a great B tier. I think Dolores is a great B tier. I like Foxy, so I think Foxy can be in the B tier. Hanako, I think that's her name. Yeah. She can be in B tier. The Toru. It would be like S tier if this was a Fatal Fury list, but she's only a guest character in King of Fighters 11 at present. So she can hang out in the B tier. I like Kasumi quite a bit. I think she's a lot better than her father. Angel can also go in the B tier. I think she's a really good design, but not one of my favorites. I'm also going to put Naj in that B tier. I think that she's a really cool character, but she's only been DLC so far. So I hope she actually gets some time to develop as a character in a future game. Malin, I'm also going to put in B tier. I like her a lot, but I feel like there's something about her that's missing. I don't know what it is that prevents me from putting her up at A tier, but I do like her a lot. Dualon is also B tier. Shinwoo, I'd also argue. Is it Shinwoo? I want to make sure I'm saying, yeah. Is also B tier for me. Ash's original partners, I think, are really good. Shingo is not as memorable as Dan, but he's essentially the same style of character. I think he's a B tier. I think Benimaru is B tier. Not one of my favorites, but I like him. And he's very, very connected to KOF, being there from the beginning. Billy Kane, I'm going to put in B tier, although I do find him obnoxious sometimes to fight. Gato's been in a couple KOF games, so he can be a little bit higher than his sister. Actually, he's on the same tier as his sister. But I'm not going to probably rank these more than what I already have. Duck King, I'm going to put in B tier. Only in one game, but it was the best he's ever looked, and I kind of like him. He's grown on me over the years. I'm going to put Ha Jai in the bottom tier, because I don't really like him either. Kensho can hang out in the C tier. Just not as memorable as Athena, and kind of gets overshadowed, and at this point he's not even in KOF 15. Wolfgang Krauser was in a couple games. I think he's B tier, strong design. Mature, I don't like as much as Vice, but she's good. Seth, I would love it if he was in more games. He's only in like 2. And so I don't have the strongest opinion of him. Orochi is a great boss. One of the most iconic bosses in the series. Not Rugal level, but probably the second most notable boss in KOF. Chris can be in C tier. His normal form is not my favorite. Yashiro can be B tier. He's cool. We'll put the sports team in C tier because I don't have that strong of an opinion on any of them, honestly. Other than I think it's a really creative idea and they have yet to really revisit it. There we go. I had to find where he was. Tizok and King of Dinosaurs. I think I prefer King of Dinosaurs a little bit over Tizok. So that's that breakdown. Jun Hoon, I kind of like a bit. He can be in B tier. AG can be C tier. He's kind of like the clown ninja. Joe can be B tier. He's a good character. I don't like Raiden really. He can be down here. Based on King of Fighters alone, these 3 Sam Show characters, I didn't buy the DLC for them. I'm not interested really in having them in KOF, but I would give Nakaruru and Hiyomaru and Darlie a passing B grade because I think they are great characters. Tong Reifu, I think is how his name is pronounced. Just says Tong here. I think his concept of going Hulk mode puts him in B tier. Although he's only a guest. Well, actually, he was in 14 too, if I remember right. We're getting down to a lot of 14 characters and 11 guests. I don't really care for Mr. Big all that much, I'll be honest. Sleepy Boy, not really. Shangha, I like her. She could be in B tier. Mr. Karate's apparently in one of these, but it's basically Ryo, so I'm not too hyped on him. What's her name? I forget her name. Momoko. She was kind of reviled, but I don't think she's an awful character. I think she's just a pandering character. Is there anyone else outside? Rugal's son, whose name I always forget. Delheed. He could be up in that C tier as well. Never got a chance to really shine the way his father did. And that leaves us with the KOF 11 guests and KOF 14 newbies. that I don't really have a very strong opinion about. I'm not going to just dump them all in no comment, because I have familiarity with at least these three. I played as them or played against them, and we'll just try to do design aesthetics for most of them, because I've seen some of them in action. Our Baruki 1 guy, I think he's a C. I think he's a solid C. Hyoto, I think is his name? Hyate, that was close. I think he's also C. I do think that Jaizu could probably sneak up into B, though, and I kind of wish he came back, because his design's pretty neat. This is a butler of somebody. Geese's butler? He has kind of a neat moveset, from what I remember. He can be in the B tier. One of the few 14 characters in the B tier. There won't be many more. Love Heart, which is from some gacha game. I don't care. This gal who is very small and deals with food, but is also timid. I don't care. This, I think she's Brazilian dancer lady. Zarina. I think she's alright. I think she's okay. Alice. Don't care. This lady. Mion. She's the one who's scared, if I remember right. I don't care. And I don't even remember this character. I have no comment. I don't remember this character. So he can hang out with his other character who I don't remember. Okay. King of Fighters. Here's my list. I think that these 20 characters at the top define the series. I think these 11 are my favorites that aren't also in that top tier. And then I think that this group of 33 or so are solid, likable additions. And we've got about 25 characters that I think are perfectly fine, just not super memorable to me. And then there's a whole bunch that I don't want to see come back. So, but King of Fighters has some of the best, absolute best character design of any video game. And some of these characters are absolute favorites of mine. So I love this series almost as much as Street Fighter. And if I had maybe the longevity of Street Fighter, I could debate KOF being a real rival to being my favorite fighting game character designs. But there's some really good ones. And I love what the series has brought to the table in terms of that aspect, because it set a really high bar. Thank you for joining me for this ranking. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode of Levels Plus Whenever. Take care.